Michael in a proper and deserved way. So I'm going to showcase some of his pictures for you to see. I don't know if all of you saw it already, and then we're going to start, okay? So there we go. So inspired by music, books, and movies, Aboya crafts astonishing pictures and strong messages to the world. Through a genius use of light, composition, and human emotions, his photos tell stories about the life and beauty of people from Ghana and Accra, his hometown. Last year, at only 24 years old, he was awarded the Best Photo of the Year by the internationally rewarded AGORA Awards and renowned AGORA Awards. His work provokes us to listen to the unspoken, demands us to see the beauty of Africa, inspires us to enjoy the happiness of being alive, and empowers the simplicity of life, urges us to perceive and value women's strength and self-love, and invites us to walk with him through his courageous and adventurous journey as a young photographer for some. We will be talking about dreams, empowerment, photography, and the impact that one voice can have on the whole world. I was very glad that Aboya accepted my invitation for this interview. As you can see, his work is mind-blowing. It's even overwhelming sometimes. We can really be with him in that moment that he took the picture and feel the light, listen to the sounds, feel the happiness or the stillness, as in this image, and even sometimes feel the temperature of the environment that he's in. So, Aboya, here you are. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here, an absolute honor for me. I think we're both starting different journeys in our lives. You're in this journey with photography, and I'm in the journey with interviewing people, right?
Yeah.
So this is my second interview, and I'm so happy that you're here with us. So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so let's start. My first question to you is, could you tell us a little bit about who you are and how was your life and your life journey before 2014? And people will get to know a little bit better why 2014, like 2014, but we will get to that later. So could you tell us just a little bit about who you are and your journey until 2014?
Okay. First of all, I would like to say thank you for having me, and also I'm very happy to be here, and I see this also as an inspiration. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, we'd all learn from each other and have better days ahead of us. Yeah. So I my life before 2014, I was so I was more of like someone that enjoys to create, but I didn't discover how best I expressed myself whilst creating. Um, the I would most sometimes you would find me. I would take I would break a branch off a tree and then take it and put it right in front of my house and expect it to grow. Like I didn't really understand how life really works, but then I feel that as long as the tree grows from the soil, a branch should also grow from the soil, kind of. So I just expected life to be everywhere and life to grow. I was um I was full of adventure, and I really like going places, seeing new things, learning, meeting new people, stuff like that. But I didn't know how best to express myself before 2014. And um, I also enjoyed music. I enjoyed like movies, and I liked them, like the magic, the stories, the like all those just inspired me to create a world of my own. And the best way I was able to do that before I ever got a camera was to imagine them all in my mind. So basically, I was just me before 2014, and I'm still me after 2014.
Yeah, something changed, right?
Yes.
Um, and what were you like? I read that you were studying software programming
Yeah.
before, and then some things changed and your life completely happened. But before we talk about that transition, I would just like to ask you if was that when you wanted to become a photographer? Did you want that before the decision of actually um, doing the transition that we will talk
Yeah.
about?
Yeah. So before the transition, I never really like saw myself like as a photographer. I just saw myself as someone that enjoyed taking pictures. I never really saw myself as someone that was going to have like photography as a career. But I like pictures was entirely me. I would go to church Sunday service, and I was always that guy that always takes pictures with friends, with family. I had like my selfie stick and all that. I took pictures of basically everything. And I actually did wanted a camera, and I asked my dad for one, but it was expensive, and I didn't get it. So I just had to stick with my camera and my mom's iPad and stuff like that and take pictures. So I was already taking pictures, but I never had it in mind that one day I would make um, photography my my profession, because my dad wanted something different for me, so I was going for what he was. That was computer science, software programming.
Yeah. Okay. And what happened now? What happened that you decided to become a photographer, or
Okay,
at least, yeah, what was that tipping point for you?
so I I'm trying to make it like as simple as it gets, but then I think when I lost my dad, I I felt lost, because he was my guide. He was like everything. And me losing my dad at that very moment, because I was right there, I felt lost. I basically didn't know what to do next. There was this chills all over my body and stuff like that. But then I I I thought to myself, and it was basically like seeing someone die was like, I see people die in movies and stuff like that, but then to see someone die with my eye, especially my dad, was like, I don't know how to explain the feeling, but it was different. It felt like a different way to feel as being a human being. Like I felt like one day, which is actually true, I'll also like die, because before my dad died, I felt that I was going to live forever, and although people be like, "Oh, you're going to die one day," I never took it serious and all that. So um I I was in a room one day and I said to myself that it's two things. It's either I keep doing computer science or I go after something that I like what I love doing. And I have like my guitar. I enjoy music, so I was learning to play the guitar at that time. So I had school learn how to play the guitar or photography. But then what caught me the most was when I took my phone and I realized that I didn't have any picture with my dad when I grew up. Like me being older, I couldn't find any picture anywhere where I can be like trying to remember the moments I had with my dad and stuff like that. The only time that I found pictures were when I was like little, when my dad would take pictures of him and me places. But then the hard part about that is that I love the pictures. When I look at the pictures when I was little with my dad, it's nice to look at, but then I can't really remember what we were doing at that point because it's like we all forget what we do when we are like little with our parents and stuff unless they tell us themselves. So I had this feeling of pain, hurt that um if I wanted to go back and make a difference, like take pictures with my dad again, if I had that option to do that, I would do that immediately. So I decided to pick photography and make photography my profession. And it was a very difficult decision because I had to stop school. The reason why I had to stop school is because I needed to get a camera, and the only like money I had was my school fees, my little savings and my fees. So I used that to get myself a camera and I started taking pictures. I actually started taking pictures of flowers and anything that I could find interesting. I started taking pictures and then one day I was like, no, I can't just like take pictures of flowers and all that. I need to actually tell a story. I need to communicate how I feel. And yeah, that's basically what I started doing.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry for your loss.
Yes.
But I think it's very beautiful how you transformed a moment of pain
Yeah.
into something so meaningful. And I can imagine how difficult that was to completely just get out of school and like just drop it and say, okay, I'm going to use this money to buy a camera. And the camera is not, it's just an object, right? It's an object that actually can break, can
Yeah.
be taken away. Anything can happen with
Yeah.
that one thing. And it's also just a way of you doing something that you didn't even know what you were going to do. And I'm really glad that
Yeah.
you're discovering your own voice and your own way of expressing yourself. It's just amazing how you transformed this moment. Um, so, could you talk a little bit about the things that you did in the beginning? Like when you started, you said that you started with still pictures of flowers and nature, and then you moved on to human beings and life and stories, right? You started to tell stories about life and everything. Um, so, how what did you want actually to with that beginning? Let's stay there in the beginning. But
Okay.
when you really started to tell stories, which stories did you want to tell? Like, why did you want to tell them, and what was important for you?
Okay. When I started, I I basically didn't know anything about the technical aspect of using a camera. I didn't know what aperture was. I didn't know what shutter speed, and all I knew was um, just click the shutter, take the picture, and be happy. So I started taking pictures of flowers, and then I I was happy doing what I was doing, but then at the same time, whilst taking pictures of flowers, I had it at the back of my mind that I also need to survive because now my dad isn't there, and the like my mom was there, but then we had like I think some difficulties with funds and all that because my dad had to do some surgery, so the family fund was taken into surgery and all that. So at the end, we lost everything, but then I had to figure out how to work at the same time, enjoy what I'm doing, and then I started going on YouTube, making research, and from the flower. I think the flower is where I started doing more of like practice on how to have better exposure, the sharpness of pictures, and I enjoy doing that. And then I realized that although I'm happy with the flower pictures that I was taking, I wanted others to also see meaning in what I was doing and understand, like love the story and be inspired and also see the beauty in places that are just around us, like common beauty that people um it's just around us, but we don't really I don't want to say we don't see it. We see it every day, but we don't
Perceive it.
yeah, yeah. So I moved from shooting pictures to shooting people, and mine I'm an introvert. I like staying on my own. I prefer being like in my quiet space and all that. So I think approaching people and taking pictures was a bit difficult for me. Like I was
Yeah.
scared that someone would get angry, tell me
Snap on
no.
you or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. So I got myself 70 to is it 70 to 300 lens, and I would stand far away and zoom the lens to like 200 and then shoot people, and then I'll walk to them and then tell them that I shot you and here's the picture. If they don't like it, I delete. If they like it, I keep it and then I edit and then send it to them. And I kept doing that like I was I became like I don't know how to say it, like it became my everyday, like every single day I wake up, I eat, I go out, shoot. I come back home, I edit. So I was doing that for a whole 1 year continuous, and it became very like different because I was no longer with friends, I was no longer with even my brothers, and I was always on my own practicing and taking pictures. But when I finally started to discover the beauty in telling the stories and how it inspires people, how it makes people like just make people happy. That wow, how did you capture that? This is amazing. Like there's something in this that I it gave me a purpose. I felt like this is like a calling because I was, although I knew nothing about photography and all that, it was natural. It came natural to me. I just see and I shoot. I see and I shoot. Sometimes the response I get from certain pictures that I shoot that I I just saw and shoot, the response from others are more. They make it look like more like something that came from a different planet, but it's actually here.
Yeah.
It's actually here with us. And when I shot it, it was completely normal to me, but it looks different to everyone. And I've had instances where I had to like because the style I was shooting wasn't really making anything for me, like the commercial photography and stuff like that. So I tried switching into commercial photography, like shoot some models for brands, and but it wasn't working for me. I wasn't enjoying it, and so I just went back and started shooting the way I enjoyed shooting and stuff like that.
Okay.
And
Yeah, that's amazing.
I'm actually glad I stayed to who I truly am and shoot the way I
Yes, of course. Like, and we are too. I think
yeah
everyone that saw any of your pictures is like, wow, it's really amazing. Your pictures are gorgeous. I think a lot of us can relate to that moment in life where we feel lost and disconnected. And normally it happens after great moments of pain and difficulties. And I also had that moment. And for the first time in my life, I'm 41 now. And I had that moment just in 2018, right? 2018, and to like feel lost and not know exactly who you want to be, like who are you first, and then who you want to be, what do you want to do. And for me, it wasn't a matter of what do you know, like what can you do. It was more about what do you want to do, like
yeah
what is meaningful for you, right? What is aligned with who you are and where do you want to be. And I think that a lot of us can relate to that. So it's thank you for sharing that with us. This moment of doubt, because that's really what it was.
yeah.
And I want to read something that you said to the audience. You said, I believe that when Black and Indigenous people of color tell their stories, tell their own stories, they can present the country and the continent differently to the world. We have the power to free ourselves from any mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional captivity.
Yeah.
What do you mean by this? How important is this for you? And how does it relate to your work?
Um. Okay. So when I did when I started learning, I made like some research just to get to understand my culture and the people of Africa and stuff like that. But when I went online, I the most things I saw was negative pictures of poverty, s- starvation, and a whole lot of negativity. And I don't know, should I say a bit hurt because I didn't know what was going on. Like I live here, I see the positivity, but then on the media platform, on other media pages, you mostly see starvation, racism, and a whole lot of negative aspects of everything. So when I say we have the power, we we you see, just like any other place in the world, there's always the negative side and there's always the positive side. We have the power to balance it out because we can't push out all the negative out of the way and always put positivity right there, but we can bring a balance to them. So how can we bring a balance to them? We can bring a balance to them through music, taking pictures, and making statements. And when I started taking these pictures, I take the pictures just as the people are. Like most of the pictures you see with the kids and all that, you don't see them in any fancy car or any fancy house or but then it's right in their natural environment, what they love doing, what makes them happy, and then I capture it and I tell it just the way it is. No, no edits, no add-ons like adding other extra stories. I just capture it and then put it out there that this is what I saw and this is what Africa is. So when it goes out there, people see they see the negative side of it, but when they see some light, that light always remain right there in their minds. So not just me, but everyone has the power to do exactly what I'm doing. by taking pictures, music, or even just talking and saying, sharing some light. Yeah,
Yeah, that's very powerful, very strong,
thank
very
you.
beautiful. And I do agree with you that we all have the power to do that. We just need to find it in ourselves.
Yeah,
Osman is watching you. He's from Brazil, and he's saying, wherever your dad is, he's very proud about you.
thank you.
And Eliane Veloso is also here, and she's saying it's great to listen to you, to see Africa from Africa by an African photographer.
But
Because
thank
she's
you.
also a photographer. She's my mom. And she
Oh,
also
wow.
went to Africa to take pictures of Togo. As I told you, she went to Togo to take pictures. And yeah, so I think so too. I think it's better to listen from an African photographer, and
Yeah,
especially one like you that is so I don't know the word, but that you bring so much meaning and the simplicity of life and the simplicity, the beauty of that simplicity, right?
yeah,
So for me, really, like some of your pictures are just wisdom written in light. And they're like a dance between what's visible and what's not, about what we can touch and what we can't. Because some of your pictures, they're like, there are people laughing and there are like hugs and the kids like jumping in the water. And it's almost like you can listen to the water drops. And so it really takes me to a different place. It really transports us, I think, to where you were when you took the picture. It allows us to grasp just these moments of strength and joy and movement. It's just really amazing and dive into your perspective.
yeah,
So how did you craft them? Craft really, like, because for me it's crafting a picture to become poetry.
yeah. Um, I get people ask me this question a lot, and
That's
the truth,
good.
the truth, the truth is that I didn't start shooting like this. I When I started, I wasn't as good as I am now, but I I believe that you don't really need to be good. You just need to be yourself. And what I do is I just be myself, and it comes naturally to me. I I listen to music and I get lost in my imagination and I see things like visions. And instead of just letting those visions like become like a come and go event, I write them down and then I see how I can bring that imagination to life. And they come to me as visions. Sometimes when I go somewhere that is new, I pay attention to the simple details, the the people. I learn about them. I join them in their activities, and I try to listen not with my ears but with my eyes. And I see things that lifts my soul, and I try to share that vision with others by capturing them with a camera.
Wow. My mother used to, she always says that she can see with her hands because she's a photographer, but she has a disease in her eyes and she lost a little bit of the sight that she had before. So she cannot see as she saw before. But now she says that she can see even more because she can see through her hands also. And you just said something very nice, which is to feel and listen with your eyes, right? So that's also a different way of listening
Yeah,
and of seeing things, which
yeah.
is very interesting. Um, and I'm going to read also another thing that you said.
Okay.
You said, I believe that creating a great image is not about the camera, but the person using it and the story or message that we're trying to transmit to the viewers. Um, so, how is your work process, and which are the stories that are powerful enough that you want to share with other people?
Um, you got. I think the network cut you somewhere, but then can you come again? I didn't get.
Yes, I can. I can. Did you
Okay.
hear your own quote?
Yeah, I did. I did.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So the question is, how do you create your images in a way that, like, how is your work process? You told us a little bit about that. That you go out and you just watch and shoot the whole day and watch people and listen with your eyes and everything. But which are the stories that you actually choose to share with the world? Because you must take, I don't know, maybe 1,000 pictures every day. And so, how do you choose those stories that you feel that they're powerful enough, or that mean something, or make you feel some way that you want to share with the world?
Okay, so the pictures that I share are pictures that I see myself in. Are pictures that connect to me in a certain way. Sometimes they are like very like I really can't explain why I feel so connected to an image, but I I just have this emotional spiritual connection with the pictures that I put out there, and I think if I'm not able to see myself in there in that moment that I have just captured, and I don't understand what I have captured, I don't put it out. I just put out something that inspires me, something that makes me understand myself better, and I share that with others to help others to also understand themselves and see the world in a positive light.
Okay.
Yeah.
And many of your pictures portrayed women, right, and positions of power and strength and beauty, which, by the way, I love as a woman, of course. So, could you tell us a little bit about what does this mean to you, and why have you chosen to portray women in that way?
Um, Most importantly, my mother. Although my dad woke me to the reality of choosing my dream, of going after what I truly want to become, my mom was the driving force to everything that I do now. As I mentioned in the start, um, my mom, we had like some financial issues, and my mom wasn't able to like take care of us all. But then she tried her best. She's like the only woman in the family. We are all guys. We are four plus my dad. That's five. So we are five guys and one woman. And she took care of all of us, and I got inspired from her. I saw her strength. I saw the energy, and not not and when I sit down to think about it, she was like the most powerful one in the family, and she's a woman, and we are all men. So yeah. So when I shoot women, I I see those qualities that my mom has in all of them, that they are superior, and also there's something that needs to be said that I still don't understand to this very point, but I know that there's really something that needs to be said, and I try my best to capture and put that out.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. As a woman, it's important. It's very important that the world portrays women in a respectful way. That's one of the things, and I think you do that as well. But especially in this position of power and strength, and being able to do so many different things, right, in life, and to support people and to support loving ones, and yeah, so it's really amazing. Um, so like some of your work is inspired, right, by songs and books and stories. You said about you talked about that before. So how do you transform those stories and musics and songs and into compositions, into visual compositions?
Um, I think I it's a bit difficult to explain. I think the whole thing works up in my mind, but then I trigger that by most importantly listening to music. I I sometimes take long, like I'll just wake up in a day and I sit in a bus, listen to music, and just get lost whilst listening to music. And when I do that, it triggers something in my imagination. Like instead of just listening to music and paying attention to the words, I get lost in my own world doing something. Sometimes I actually see myself like I am the one playing the music. Like I'm the musician, I'm doing
Yeah.
the music and stuff like that. And that's how I got my inspiration for Songs of Freedom, where I was listening to Bob Marley and I saw myself like playing the violin. So I was literally doing this and listening to the music, and I I had that inspiration, and I I wrote it down, and I realized that um, um, there were other things that were happening in my life that I needed to speak about and portray. So music number one, books. Most importantly, I have this book over here. It's my dad's book. His only book that he wrote, and I get my inspiration when I'm reading and the story feels adventurous. I see myself doing stuff in my mind and I write them down. So I think the most important part of this is always writing down what you see, not with your physical eyes, but the eyes of the mind. So I write them down and I see how I can bring that into reality, into the life, the real world. And yeah, same with movies. It's like the same thing, but not all movies. Some movies I get lost enjoying the movie, but some I actually get lost in my imagination, kind of. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna show you some of the comments that are going on here. Vanessa Dela, I don't know how exactly to say your name.
Oh,
She said it's really phenomenal interview. The pictures of Michael reflect the simplicity of life in an elegant way.
thank you.
And we have Onur. He's saying, I'm glad that he had the power to free himself, unlike many of us, from all kinds of captivities. So that's, you want to comment on that?
Yeah,
Okay.
we all have the power to free ourselves from any kind of captivity. It's all in the mind. Basically, we are all free, but then your mind makes you think that you're not, so you are like you are in a tiny space. But the moment you're able to break free from that mindset, you find yourself in a bigger space, in a bigger world, and you realize that there's so much to explore and there's so much to do. So we are actually not in a captivity. It's it's just our mind. It's
Yeah.
like just
And
it's
Bob
like
Marley talks about that in the song, right?
yeah,
And it was
yeah,
the song that actually inspired you to for your picture, right? For the one of the pictures, I think it was the one picture that won the
yeah.
AGORA Awards, right?
What- yeah.
I don't know if I can find that here to show to showcase just in a while, not exactly now. Um, but so we have some more comments. From Eliani Veloso, we have that she's saying that we see with our hearts, as it said in some places in Africa. Our feet goes where our hearts send us.
Yes.
Um, yeah. So I hope we will always listen to our hearts and be free to choose, right? Not be free, as you're saying we already are, but at least feel free to choose
Yeah.
from our hearts also. And Osman is saying that you can transmit the real value of life in your stories. So it's
Thank you.
really amazing. We have some other here. Merci
Met-
Odzawo. Merci Odzawo. I hope I said your name right. Michael is no doubt a talented young man, very inspiring. Keep soaring. And Emmanuel Kwashi, I don't know. I have
yeah.
seen a few of Michael's handwork, and are they resonate quite well with the reality of life. I still follow him closely, and I know he will go to places, and so keep soaring. My Eliane is asking the name and author of the book. I think it's the book that you just showed us.
Okay. It's
Um,
I actually don't know if there's more copies of the book. It's my dad wrote it, and then a few moments he he passed, and this is like my personal copy, and he signed
so
that.
could you read that? Could you actually say it because she can't probably
Okay,
won't be able to
so
see it.
it's relax. Jesus is greater than your problems.
Okay.
Yeah, by Reverend Jonathan Aboya.
Okay.
Yeah.
So okay, so my next question for you is let's get more technical about photography.
Okay.
What do you consider from the environment when you're shooting? Like, do you have a specific time of the day that you prefer, a certain light, and how do you compose your scenery? When you
Um.
compose it, right? Because some pictures are taken like just by chance, very
Yeah.
organically, but the ones that you actually compose, like, what is the work that you put into it?
I look out for light, natural light. We thank God for natural light. That's like a gift to humanity. I I don't use artificial light in my images. I just walk around with my camera. So natural light is like the most important element for my shots. Um, Depending on the type of image that I try to tell, I I mostly go for a specific type of light. Like I try my best to stay away from harsh lights, like lights in the afternoon, like midday, because it gives me like flat images. I need my images to have a depth of feeling and all that. So I mostly shoot at getting closer to sunset when the light gets that golden color and also the blue owls and stuff like that. When the sky is colorful, it gives my image a depth of feeling and it helps me communicate better and touch emotions and all that. Yeah.
Okay, great. Um, Everyone, if you want to make any questions, you can make the questions, and I'll ask him while we go. Mirtis actually, she's from Chicago, and she has a question here. Michael, you're very talented. I wonder how is your cultural environment and you as a photographer. So how does culture play a role in your work?
I don't get the question. Can you explain
I
it?
think she's asking about the culture of the place that you are and how if you try to portray it somehow or how does it influence the pictures that you choose and also you as a photographer. Like, how do you think that the culture that you live in Accra impacts you as a photographer and also your work?
Yeah. First of all, the people. Um, it it's influenced me in a way where so my mom is Nigerian and my dad is Ghanaian from two different worlds, and I've been that um I've been that kid that was always indoors. They don't let me go out, and so when I started taking pictures and I became like I took photography as a profession, it gave me the ability to explore. So going places, everything seemed new to me. The people, the the people, for example, like how they approach you, how they accept you into the community, like they make you part of them. It's not like I felt I wasn't part, but I didn't know. So going there, I was accepted, I was welcomed. It felt like family, like everything felt like home. And I took time to learn. I took time to join in some of the activities like playing of football and stuff like that. And the food too. And I think all that comes together and gives me like a different sense of imagination. And I just as I said, I just go straight with my imagination. What I see and how I see it, I capture it that way. So,
Yeah. I think I can portray. Let's see if it's gonna work. No, it's not working actually. Let me just do something here very quickly.
okay.
Stop the screen and then share the screen again. Here. Yeah, so I think now it's going to. So it was with this photo that you actually won the prize at the AGORA Awards, and we can see everything that you're talking about. We can see the natural light,
Yeah,
right? We can see the boys, the violin, the music, the movement, the poetry, the power, and the empowerment as well.
yeah.
Um, do you want to talk a little bit about this picture? Is there something else that you want to say about it, or no?
Sure. Mm, aside getting the inspiration from the song, I think the song triggered the vision. But when I got it and I wrote it down, I got inspired by myself too, because although I freed myself from a mindset of choosing and being who I want to be and doing what makes me happy, I still felt trapped under something, like something I felt bondage, like something was still holding me, and I needed to like break free from that too. And when I shot this image, it gave me that um, it empowered me to break free from whatever holds me back to be the best self I can be. And yeah, this image is like one of my life changing image, like in my career and all that.
It's very
I
powerful.
yeah, I
It's very,
sometimes
very cool.
sit down and imagine what like everything would have been like if I hadn't shot this image. That's why I always emphasize on always writing down every single thing that you see in your mind, because the truth is the camera doesn't really do anything. It doesn't do anything. If you leave the camera there, it will always be there. You're the one who picks it up and go out to shoot. So when you go out to shoot, what are you going out there to capture? Because there's a whole lot of things going on out there. So the question is, what are you going out there to capture? The main tool is your mind. It's the your eyes. Your mind produces the work. Your eyes is more of like a projector. It projects it, and the camera is like a printer. It prints the vision out, kind of. So yeah.
Yeah. We do have some questions here for you already. And very soon, just for everyone to know, I will invite all of you that are watching, not all of you, but some of you, and feel free to join us. So you will be able to join us live in the interview, and then we can know a little bit about who also is here watching, and we can just have a different kind of conversation. And you can ask, maybe you want to make some questions, or you want to ask some questions also for the people that will join us. So please prepare yourselves and please join us, very soon. So one of the questions here is from Emmanuel. He He's asking, like, I understand you sadly lost your dad, right? Your mom? No, your dad, right? Okay. Okay.
My mom.
You lost your dad, and considering that he was your, I'm sorry,
My mom.
you lost your mom this year.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm very sorry for that. I thought he was just making a confusion, but okay, so it's right. I'm sorry, Emmanuel. And I'm very sorry for your loss. So I'm going to read his question again. I understand you sadly lost your mom early this year. Considering that she was your inspiration, do you think that will affect your work negatively, or not? And how will you overcome it?
Um, the truth. So when I won the Agora Award, I I had that feeling that changed everything for my family and everything was going to be better. But my mom left me at a time that I really didn't expect, which was just the 1st of January. And the 1st of January was like when everyone was celebrating and happy for a new year and stuff like that. But when my mom left on the 1st of January, it was hard for me. I was broken. I was really broken, but she sent me before she passed. She sent me a voice note on my WhatsApp because I am in Ghana and she's way over in Nigeria. And she was like, she wasn't feeling well. She was sick, but she didn't want to tell me because she wanted me to concentrate on my work.
Wow.
So, although she was my inspiration, she left me a motivation where even though she's not here today, she still wants me to focus and concentrate on what I'm already doing because she believes in me, and I think that word really it keeps me going. But the truth is, I've not really felt like the same ever since I lost my mom. But I feel that every time I would, the feeling would like I would recover. Like ever since I lost her, I've been feeling kind of like flat. I've been having this flat feeling. But yeah, just as I said in the beginning, at the end, we are all going to, like, we're all not going to be here. So the time that you have is the time that you use to do what you love best.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also that it's not the same. It's never the same. But you lost your dad, and you kind of found your voice and your strength and your way of expressing yourself, um, even after he left and he passed. And maybe I hope that you can. Yeah, I think he. We just lost connection with him. Let me see if he will come back. And it was a very deep moment. Let's see here. I think he's back. Okay, you're back. Okay. So I think that I hope I don't think actually. I hope that you can find not find. I think you already found your own expression, but just continue to experiment, because I think a lot of us we don't allow ourselves sometimes to experiment more and to make more mistakes. We think that we need to be something, or we need to go somewhere, or that whatever we choose will have to be chosen for the next 5 or 10 or 20 or 50 years of our lives. And I really like the experimentation that you have, and that you go out every day to shoot. And so I think you already found your voice. It's just expressing it in different ways. And I'm sure that your mom will also now be there with you when you see the world, and when you feel the world, and when you see it in your head, as you said,
Yeah.
not only with your eyes, but with your heart and with your perspective in your own world, and how that relates to to the world and your moments and your feelings and your emotions and yeah. We do have another one here from Vanessa. She's saying, what kind of issues do you sometimes face before, during, and after shoots?
Before shoots, I basically just have my idea on a sheet of paper. So all that vision, the picture, and everything is always on a paper. If it's not on a paper, it's right in my mind. During shoots, I'm a bit nervous. I feel like okay, maybe I'm not going to get it right, or because sometimes I do go to shoot and whatever I've written down, I'm not able to do it because um, I didn't plan well, or something happened, and or something happened beyond my control. Like maybe it rains, or the sun wasn't just at the right position, like the lightning wasn't good and stuff like that. So during shoots, I I sometimes get nervous, but I always make sure to not let it affect my shoot. I go and I make sure that I go according to how I wrote it down. Sometimes it comes even much better than how I wrote it down by just having fun, like not taking it too serious and too technical, but taking it more like like an everyday thing. Like
Adventure.
yeah. And then after shoots, it depends. Two things. If I go and I didn't get it right, I am hurt because I would have to wait for another day, which is like a very long time. To wait for another day is like it's so long. It doesn't feel long when you are just there not doing anything, but it feels long when you are in a haste for the next sunrise so you can do it again. When I get it right, I'm happy and I'm like in a rush to go home and sit down and look at the pictures and know how I'm going to like process it and give it the colors and stuff like that. So yeah, that's basically how I feel after shoot.
Yeah. It's really interesting how you say that the expectation for the next sunrise,
Yeah,
it can relate to life as well, right? Whatever you're doing in your life, like feel that urge. Oh my God, I want tomorrow to come so badly because I want to do something else or
yeah,
I want to continue to do what I'm doing.
exactly.
Right? It's like a
Yeah,
child wanting something that you
yes,
can't wait to have it. And it's really amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, I get the feeling. Maybe some people are curious about the gear that you use, or maybe some of your equipment. What do you take with you normally when you're shooting? Maybe Vanessa also wants to know a little bit about that. So could you tell us a little about what do you take with you?
Um, I at first when I started, I had like a Canon T3 and sorry, a Canon T3 and a 70 to 300 lens. That's what I was using to capture. And then I I found myself with that camera. I found myself concentrating more on the technical aspect of things than the story aspect of things because I always had to check for exposure and all that.
Yeah.
So it was a bit difficult for me with that camera, but as I said, the camera wasn't really the most important thing. So with that camera, what I did was I always shoot on auto. I let the camera decide for me, and I just shoot. And the only issue I got with that was sometimes the camera messes the whole thing up, and I had to learn how to do stuff manually. And then I sold the camera and added like the money that I'd made from work and stuff like that, and I got myself a Canon, a Sony A7, a mirrorless camera. Yeah. So what got better with that was that I found myself focusing more on what I was shooting than the settings of the camera because I don't have to look through the viewfinder and stuff like that. I just need to hold and then shoot, and Yeah, so right now I use a Sony A7. I still have my Sony A7, and I have a Sony A7 R4, Sony A7 R4, and a um, Sigma 104, 105 f1.4. That's what I use.
Wow, that's big and wide, and it captures a lot of light, which
Yeah,
is probably
like
what you need when you want your pictures to be sharp, right? And your pictures are like pixel sharp. It's
yeah,
incredible. Actually, I'm really fascinated by that. I was looking at your pictures like, what? Like even this little grain of sand, like
yeah,
wow, and the boy's eye or something like that. It's really amazing. And I was like, what kind of camera does he have? He needs something with, a lot of light and a big aperture and everything, of course, because
yeah,
then it can be sharper.
yeah. So the camera does help in a sense. So let's see the camera like a good
Quality,
print.
right?
Yeah, it helps with the quality. It helps you write better. It's like a very good pen, and you're able to write, and it's vivid and it's clear. And but at the end of the day, you're the one holding the pen, so you are the one writing. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And thank you for saying that. Thank you so much for saying that. That's so important.
yeah.
We do have some other questions, but before we make the questions, I would actually like to invite some of the viewers to join us, and I'm going to write it down here on the comments. So if you want to join us, and please join us here in the live session. Just click on the link, and then you will be able to, we will be able to see you, and then you can maybe introduce yourself very quickly, and we can have a conversation, all of us together. So just come. Um, yeah, so please come in. And while you do, I'm going to continue to make some of your questions to
Okay.
Aboya. So Che, I hope I said your name right, is asking, can you tell your favorite story behind a photograph?
My favorite story behind the photograph.
Yeah, maybe from the person that you shot. You
Oh,
shot.
okay.
It's kind of weird, but yeah.
Um, so basically, all the stories that I tell, just as I stated in the beginning, if I don't see myself in there, I don't connect to it in a certain way, I don't share. So basically, all the stories that I share are like my favorite. But then those that are like life changing is what makes the difference. So instead of saying favorite, I would rather say life story, like life changing. So Songs of Freedom is one of them. The story of the kid smiling, this one,
Yeah.
yeah, that's one of them because at this point, it actually reminded me to like regardless of whatever I'm going through or whatever I'm facing, I always have to remind myself to smile. There's always a reason to smile. And um, the one I captured of my brother.
Oh, that's your brother.
um, so no, no dad, no mom, and he's like really happy, and it makes me feel like I don't know. There's a feeling. There's a feeling in there. Aside the story, like just seeing him happy with the bubbles and not really knowing what's going on. It kind of makes me feel like being a child again. Like if I could be a child for just one day, like not to just feel all the pressure and all that. Yeah. So that's the feeling I get from my brother. But basically, I really like all the pictures that I've shot because as much as it inspires those who view them, it means a lot to me, and it helps me go through each day. That counts.
Okay. Thank you. Eliani is saying that this is great. Most young people do not get things on paper anymore, just on their cell phones. You were talking about writing down your ideas and your visions, and right, just writing down
Yeah.
everything. Um, Enrique Nardi is asking, do you still take photos of strangers and ask for their permission afterward? Have any of them ever disliked a photo you took? Like, how was that
Uh,
interaction and that dynamic?
I actually don't. I don't take pictures of. Well, I wouldn't call them strangers because I see them more of like family. Like we are all family, but then we are all from different background with a different story to tell. But I no longer take pictures without trying to know someone, like to know them. So I try my best to be part of whatever they are doing, whatever activity, like blending into the community and all that. But then when I used to take pictures before I show them, I've gotten people who say they don't like it, delete it and stuff like that. They don't not like they don't like it because the picture looked bad, but then because of the superstition mindset of like when I don't know about there, but over here people have like a mindset, like a superstitious mindset of when you take pictures of when someone you don't know take pictures of you, they might use the picture for something bad or do stuff like that. So most of them are more of like scared. So they ask me to delete the picture and stuff like that. So
Okay.
I delete it.
Okay. Did you have ever, like, maybe you took a really good picture, you're like, wow, this picture is amazing, and then the person, no, please delete
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
you're
yeah,
like,
yeah,
no,
yeah. Very,
please
very,
don't ask me
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Very, very painful. It hurts.
Very painful. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Vanessa is asking a really good question, which brings us to the moment that the whole world is going through right now, which is the pandemic. And she's asking, has the pandemic affected you as a photographer?
Um, it's compared to last year because last year I really got the chance. Just as I said, like I keep saying that I always enjoy going out to take pictures, and it's this year's very different, and it's been more mostly sitting down and reflecting. And aside going out to take pictures, it's giving me the time to get to know myself better, what I'm capable of doing without picking the camera and stuff like that. And I've like I don't know how to say it, but I never thought that a time would come where I'd have to stay indoors without going out and everyone. And it came like it took everyone by surprise. But um, it all comes down to your motive. Like, why are you doing what you do? And no matter like if you take pictures or you sing or you tell you whatever you do, when you do them and you make a statement, if the virus is supposed to keep us indoors for like 5 years, 6 years, your statements are always going to speak for you. They are always going to inspire people, and they are always going to do everything for you. So when I didn't see myself taking pictures during the lockdown, I my pictures was out there doing the work for me. So I was indoors and I was getting to know myself better, and I allowed the pictures that I've already shot inspire people and do what's they do.
Yeah. Let's talk about your editing. So I want to know a little bit more about that very sharp and clear picture that you
Yeah.
have of those photos. And you also sometimes you have a specific tone of color to them. So first of all, how did you learn editing, and how do you edit your photos?
Um, I So I've always wanted to have like a unique look to my images, and I I tried like joining like a photography school to learn and all that, but I wasn't having enough funds for that. So what I did was that I would bundle like buy data for like 1 month and go on YouTube and watch from various photographers. Like I actually didn't watch how they give their pictures specific colors, but then I pick points from different photographers, like how he did that, how she did that, how then I put all together to create something that belongs that I can call my own. And I that's basically what I was doing for, and it wasn't easy because I would take a very good picture, but then the composition and the colors wouldn't make the story that I was trying to put out there really like stick out, like the story exactly. So um I had to like keep practicing with pictures, keep practicing with flowers, plants, the sky. Sometimes I would just shoot pictures of the sky just to learn how to fix the colors in the sky, the colors in plants, the colors in the skin, like just and then I would shoot a whole picture.
Training yourself, right? Kind of like,
Yes, yes,
okay.
yes. And then I would shoot a picture with everything inside and then apply all those knowledge. And then I started getting the colors and I started getting the sharpness and all that fluid.
Yeah. And two things. So the first thing is that I don't know if everyone watching us right now knows that you are a self-taught photographer,
But
and it was basically through YouTube videos and a very simple camera that you had in the beginning, and practice and practice and practice and practice. And
yeah,
we can see that you shoot every day, that you practice every day. So I just wanted everyone to know that. And there are two things, like what are the softwares today that you use to edit your photos? So that's
okay.
one. And Teresa Passioni is also asking you to please repeat and mention again the kind of cameras that you use.
Okay. I for the first question, I use Photoshop and Lightroom, but most of the time I like to stick to Photoshop and use the Camera Raw plugin to do the color grading and the sharpening. And I know Lightroom can also do the same thing, but I I I don't want to like switch between Lightroom, Photoshop. So I stay in Photoshop and then I use the Camera Raw plugin to do the color grading, the editing, and sharpness. And then in Photoshop, I do the minor fixing, like removing of distractions and like just removing distractive elements and stuff like that. For the cameras that I use Sony. Can I bring my? Let me bring it. Let me.
Yes, of course, you can show all your cameras. I would love to see them. I'm sure that everyone will too. Please.
Okay. Um. So I use a Sony A7. That's the original A7. That was the upgrade that I did from the Canon camera, the Sony. So the problem I had with this, it was good because of the live screen, but the battery on this wasn't really good. So I had to like get a battery grip,
Yeah.
and that like extra savings and stuff like that because I really didn't have a problem when I was going out to tell stories, but when I was doing uh the money aspect of it, like the commercial and all that, it takes a long time. So the battery of this was like dying out on me and all that. And my 35 lens. This,
Um,
so actually, I shot Songs of Freedom on this camera and this lens.
okay, the Songs of Freedom that he's saying is the picture that we just showed, the one that he won the Agora Awards.
I shot on this camera and this is a Rokinon 35 f 1.4. I got
Okay.
this. I got this during Black Friday when the prices of everything went down, and
Wow. And now
and
what are the ones that you have?
now from shooting this with Songs of Freedom, and I got the award prize. I invested into this one, and this is a Sony A7R4, and it gives me the best. This is what gives me the sharpness and all that, and I'm able to like print in high quality because I sell prints too. So I'm able to print in large formats and all that, and a Sigma 104, uh, Sigma 105 f1.4, and basically.
That's heavy. That's heavy. Do you have anything to help you with your to hold that thing the whole day?
So when I'm shooting, I it's like there's this adrenaline. I don't know, like there's this
You don't
energy.
even feel it, right?
I don't feel it. And then there's this small one, the small one.
Okay.
It's actually a Canon lens. It's a lens for my T3. I didn't sell this lens because I really like, but it's a 10 to 18 mm, and then I have like an adapter.
Small one. Yeah.
It's an adapter to help me use it on the. That's why I used to capture the angles, the fire guys, and
Okay.
all. Yeah. So yeah, that's all. I don't have
That's your
any
gear,
other,
right?
yeah, I
Okay.
don't have any other gear apart from that.
So everyone, just please join. Come on live with us. Come on. Don't feel shy. Come join us. You don't need to turn on your camera if you don't want to. Just join us to talk with us. I'm gonna put the link again one more time here on the chat. So we have Janica Berridge. She's saying here, started with Canon T3i and now uses a Sony A7 with a Sigma lens, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Onur is asking, did you want to change people's view about Africa with your photos, or is it just about the story behind the photos you take?
Um. So I really don't want everyone to look at my photos and see just the stories that I put under them. It should be something that you can see and also see yourself in there, where you can put your own story behind or what it means to you. But then also with the same pictures that I take, I feel and I believe that the more I continue to do that, and the more people, there are other people like me also doing that, there will be a balance between the negative aspect of how people see Africa and the culture, or anywhere in the world, there will be a balance between the negative and the positive side of things. Yeah. So I think it goes both ways, the view of how people see Africa and the story behind them, but not just my story and your story too.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. So I do have another question for you. Are you working on any new projects now? And could you tell us a little bit about them, if you are?
Okay. I I I just finished up a project with Adobe,
Adobe, yeah.
and the project was about creating Lightroom tutorials, interactive Lightroom tutorials, where the Adobe community, the photography community, can go online on the Adobe app, the app on the either your iPhone or Android, the Lightroom Android or iPhone app, and then you would see the tutorial section and discovery section, where you would find my pictures and other amazing photographers' pictures, and you can basically download like you can see and watch how we edited our pictures, and um, either you learn or you download the presets and apply them to your pictures. Um, the tutorials will be out. I haven't announced them yet, so everyone that's watching gets like the first to announce. But if you go online right on the Adobe Lightroom app right now, you will see other photographers' work that has been released already, and the works will be translated into 15 languages. So I think everyone can understand what I did and stuff like that.
Wow, congratulations for that.
Thank you.
That's really nice. We do have young photographers here, or just enthusiasts of photography that like to shoot sometimes, just like you when you started in a non-professional way. And they're starting their careers and trying to find their own voice of expression. So, what is your message to them, like to whoever is just starting now?
Um, I think what I would say is for you to, I always say be who you are, but it seems that's a difficult thing to do because we are in a world that's always trying to make you be someone else to impress others. But the truth is, you came in here alone and you go alone. So in between that transition, it's you doing stuff for you. And I believe that if you do or you take photography to be something that is personal to you, you would approach it in a way that feels best for you. But I think most importantly, it's just you shooting what makes you happy. If shooting flowers all day to the end of time makes you happy, just do that. And the funny and interesting part about that is that the more you continue doing that because it makes you happy, you would find a certain inspiration that will inspire people from just shooting just flowers would actually bring a certain form of inspiration. People see certain kind of beauty from shooting flowers and it will bring a change too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it also aligns energies somehow. I don't know how to explain this, but for me, when you really put energy into something, it aligns with people that are in the same frequency. And then
Yeah.
you start connecting with things and things start happening that you don't really understand, but it's connected to the energy that you put there doing whatever you were doing. We do have some other questions. Shine Dodo, Shine Dodo, I don't know. I really
Shine.
want to say your names right. Oh my gosh! Like, oh, I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. What motivated you into photography? To go into photography?
Um, what motivated me was the feeling of not being here for so long. So it's more of like doing what makes me happy so that I I've always said this thing like we're all scared to die. Like everyone is scared. Like when I saw my parents passing on, I got scared. But I think the moment you begin to accept that reality that it's something that's definitely going to happen, you begin to appreciate life and you begin to appreciate who you truly are and you begin to do things for yourself. So I think what motivated me and inspired me was the fact that I'm not going to be here for too long. So why not just do something that makes me happy whilst I'm here? And that's basically what I'm doing. I
Okay.
think, yeah, what makes me happy and what makes me stronger to keep on living, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. Vanessa, we have someone here, someone ready to come in and join us in the conversation. His name is Enrique Nardi. I hope I'm saying your name right because it's from an Italian family, so I don't
Hello.
know.
Hello, Michael. Hi, Jonah. So good to be
Hello
here.
there.
Nice to virtually meet
Yeah,
you.
it's good to have you. So
Yeah.
Enrique lives in the United States. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself. So just introduce yourself.
Okay, so I'm a graphic designer from Brazil, and I've been living in the U.S. for the past 5 years or so. I'm also, I mean, I take photos as an enthusiast. I volunteer to take photos at conferences and events, and I really appreciate this opportunity. I want to thank Jana and you, Michael, for sharing the stories with us. They are truly inspiring. And I have a question for you. Let me put that in context real quick. The story with your dad resonated a lot with me, but not through, in my case, not through photography, but through the part of the memories. Because since I'm living outside of Brazil for the past 5 years or so, I usually go back to Brazil once a year. And every time I come back to Brazil, I try to connect with my family even more because I miss them, being far from them. And over the past years, my mom have been struggling with Alzheimer. So every time I would come back, it was really difficult for me to connect with her in terms of memories and trying to remember things from our past. And I was eager to know things about the family. I was into genealogy and such, and I felt that as a strong barrier. So because of that barrier of my mom's Alzheimer, I started. I realized, well, I need to. I need to start interviewing people. So I started interviewing my dad, my uncles, and I started to documenting that through video and like getting to learn the story of the family from the elderly. So and that's why I resonated with the fact that you miss having photos with your dad once he was gone. So then my question would be, through that, I realized that it was really important to interview people from my family, getting to know them, especially with the elderly ones. And then I wanted to ask you, because you miss having photos with your dad, have you ever connected with the people you photograph, like let's say taking photos of kids and their parents, like in case they don't have enough photo or visual memories? How that experience connected to your work and the kids and the families that you photograph? Have you ever thought of that?
Yeah. So recently during the lockdown, I stayed with a family, and I shot the mother and the daughter together. And when I did that, first of all, it made me feel, I don't know how to say it, but it made me feel like I should be the one. Like I felt like I, I, I felt like I wanted to be the one in that position and someone shooting me. But there's no way to go back there. But then at the same time, it makes me happy that although I'm not going to be in that position, they can also look back and see this picture and remember what happened in that situation, and it makes them happy. So it's more of like solving a problem that I had. And although um, um, there's a bit of I wish, there's also a bit of happiness, and a bit of yes, I've done it kind of feeling. I've done it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We do have some other pictures. I mean, other pictures. What the heck? Not some other pictures. Some other questions, and like actually, both of you can answer because this is supposed to become like a conversation and not only an interview anymore. And questions and answers. I would love it to be more organic and just now really become a conversation between people that are here. So again, please feel welcome to join us. We can have more people with us. And it's about to be organic and out of control and just, I don't know, how life is, right? Many times. So that's the aim here in inviting you in and for you to have a voice, which is something that I think connects a lot with Aboya as well. So there's actually this one here for Enrique that just came. How valuable your suggestion of doing family interviews with elders? It's not really a question, right? It's just Teresa is just making like
Yeah, thanks.
Compliment.
Thanks, Teresa, for the comment. And yeah, I found that a really. I mean, I even thought about having like a website encouraging people to do that. It's just that I don't feel. I don't feel like sharing those interviews I did with my own family right away, but I do think that this is was like is something that struck me, and I found it so powerful, especially because when it happens for like there was this opportunity in which I went back to Brazil in 2016 or 2017, and I got to reconnect with the only surviving brother of my grandfather who passed already. So he was like the younger brother, and his wife, and then I got to interview them on their kitchen, and they were like 85 and 86 years old. We spent like an afternoon going through old photos, and I interviewed them for like over an hour on camera, and then the and they are like my uncles as well. So then like 2 or 3 months later, my aunt passed, and I had this interview, and it was so like it was like a treasure being able to have spoken to them for such a long time, and then she left, so like it was really really like important, so that made me even more aware of how important those things are to document, either through filming or photo, like Michael is doing. Documenting is so important to me.
Yeah.
That that
Okay, Michael. Yeah, you can.
I'm trying to contribute to what you were saying.
Yes, of course.
Before my mom passed, she came to Ghana because when I won the AGORA Award, she came here for us to like be together and celebrate and kind of. So I took a selfie with my mother, and I have like I don't know how to explain the feeling of like the expression, the feeling of having that picture with my mom, but it's like my favorite. It's like one of my favorite picture we just taken with my selfie camera. So it all comes down to seeing pictures beyond just taking pictures, but keeping memories. It's more of like keeping memories than keeping treasures, just as he said, treasures and all that. Freezing the
Yeah.
moment with
Yeah,
the
I think so too. Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting because I also take pictures. Not professional. I did work as a professionally some time ago, but now I don't anymore. I'm a designer, but I did take some pictures, and I took some pictures of my grandfather and my grandmother. Just them in their house, very simple, just them being themselves and sitting down on their chairs and eating breakfast and just living their daily lives. And my grandmother passed away in the end of last year, and my grandfather passed away in the beginning of this year. So when I look at those pictures, they bring me so much joy, and I'm very glad that I took them. It's this feeling of, like you're glad that you took them. And it's something that it's another project of mine, another personal project that I want to do, which is actually to take pictures of elderly people for their families, to have them, because sometimes we only have pictures of our grandmothers or grandfathers or mothers or uncles or whoever that important person in your life is in a party. Like you don't have pictures of them just being them, just living their lives, like maybe smoking a pipe late afternoon, like it's raining outside, and that's what they always do. And it's in your memory, but it fades away and it mixes up with other things, and it's it's not real anymore. It's a creation of your own mind. And then the pictures that it's there, it's right there. You can see it as it was. So I think that memory is so important. And another thing that I did, which I find it was a very nice project to do, was to interview my grandmother and to interview my grandfather. So I have them on video. And when they passed away, I showed for the family members the video of them saying how they wanted to be remembered. Not only talking about their life, and but also how they wanted to be remembered. So I think we should do that more often to give voice to whoever came before us and welcomed us into the world, right? I think that's very powerful. So we were coming to the end. Once we don't have as many people now, but we do have some other questions, and I'm going to make those questions. And then I want to ask everyone to stay here because we will have someone very special that is right there waiting already in line. And she's going to sing for us. So we're going to have Brazilian music today to say goodbye. And before that, Michael, I don't know, is that musician, is that person coming up or not? Is it?
I think.
Check.
Okay, let me check.
We're going to have African music as well. I don't know. But let's read some of the questions that we have here. So we have from Vanessa, and I think that maybe this can go all around. What are the 5 dream countries to visit as a photographer, and why would you want to visit those countries? So
I
do have mine. I don't know if it's 5, but I have some. What about you?
I have some, and one Kenya, Ethiopia, Brazil, Tanzania.
You're gonna be very welcomed in Brazil, so just come. Let me know when you're coming.
Tanzania, and for the fit one, I don't have a fit one, but I think anywhere that just comes in there is fine. But then I really don't know why I want to visit those countries, so I mostly prefer to have that like a mystery. Not knowing is more of like an adventure, like going and not knowing what you might find. So yeah, so I would like to go to those countries because some of the research that I've done, I've seen the culture, the people, and the lifestyle, the food. Yeah, I would like to try all those things, but I would like to go without knowing what I would expect. So yeah, basically that's it.
Yeah. And I have a question also for the two of you, which is, which legacy would you like to leave in the world, and how would you like the world to remember your existence?
So I think you should go first.
Yeah.
Good one. Good tactic. Let me just, okay. Wait. Before you answer, think about the question.
not that I have the answer ready. I don't.
Think about the answer. I'm going to invite Gabriela Pilati. I'm going just to put her here, and then we will listen to her saying, of course, in the end. But then maybe she has a question too, and maybe she can answer the question too. I don't know. So, okay. Gabi, welcome. Welcome aboard.
Hi. Hello, Michael. I'm not good in English, sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah, don't worry.
Ladies first, guys.
Okay, so Henrique, you start. What is your answer?
I thought Gabriela would like to answer, isn't it?
No, she's not good in English.
My answer is the song.
Okay.
From Paulo César Pinheiro e Vicente Barreto.
Okay.
So who are those? What?
Oi?
Why did you say those names?
Paulo César Pinheiro and Vicente Barreto. Os
Those
autores
the
da
authors of the song. She's going to
Okay,
sing.
okay, but don't sing now. Don't sing now. Not now. Not now. Wait.
Ah,
Wait,
não,
okay?
ah,
Não, 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 não. Wait a little bit. Wait a little bit. Para um pouquinho aí, daqui a pouquinho. Vamos fazer umas perguntas ainda. So, Henrique, you can answer.
I don't have an answer, Jana. I must say, because I don't know how I want me to be remembered, or the legacy of my work, or anything of the sorts. I never put any much thought on that. So I don't know what to tell you right now.
Okay.
I was caught off guard.
Maybe of your existence, actually. It doesn't have to be of your work, but maybe of your existence in the world. I don't know. Michael, do you have an answer already? That's a difficult one, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's difficult, but I think I already had my answer when I started. But do you have your answer yet, or you still don't have it?
I have a question for you, but it can be
Okay,
after
but
your answer.
that's after. You will have to, don't run
I'm
away
already
from
thinking
it.
of a question.
Basically, I was doing a research, and I was trying to find out what happens when we die. Like, what happens? Where do we go? Where do we end up? And basically, there's no answer anywhere. So, but then the best answer I found online was from a movie star called Keanu Reeves. I don't know if you know Keanu Reeves, and he was like, he doesn't know what happens when you die, but the ones who love us will miss us, and that touched me so much. So I think for me, I just want to do my best to bring out my vision, to inspire others, and to, like, if I'm not able to at least bring a balance with myself and others out there doing the same thing that I'm doing, I just want to do what I did best and be known for that person who went after what he enjoyed doing, and he did it to his full best. And I didn't go leaving some, like, nothing behind, but I left leaving something for everyone to look up to and to connect. And then also, I try my best to leave, like, when I shoot, I try to leave a piece of me in everything that I shoot. So when I go, I'm not like truly gone. That's why I shot that picture where I was like not truly gone. I don't know if you've seen that one. I'm gone, but I'm not gone, because there's something behind that speaks for me, kind of.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
That connects a little with my question.
Okay.
Because you said that you always try to leave something of you on your photos, the photos you shoot, and looking at your photos, it is really, there is this strong feeling of joy and happiness and love in all of your photos, through the lighting, to the setup, to the composition, and then that made me wonder if you ever, like, how does what you're feeling relate to the photos you're taking? For example, have you ever, say, if you're feeling sad or if you're feeling anxious, do you feel like I prefer not to shoot today because I don't feel happy? Or do you let the bad feelings, like when you're sad or anxious, to interfere on your work? Like, do you rather take photos whenever you're feeling down, for example?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
So it's something that is very difficult to explain, but I'll just say it anyways. But as I started saying, that everything that I shoot, except the ones that I I haven't like come written down. Maybe I'm somewhere and I see something. It all works from my imagination. And what I find is that it works best when I am at peace with myself. Like I'm happy, I am relaxed, that like I don't fill my mind with worries and all that. There's this clear vision. But then when I'm sad, when I'm angry, when I'm worried, and when I feel anything that doesn't give me peace, there's no vision. It's just blank. It's just black. It's like there's no light. So when there's no light, there's no way I can take anything. Like the only thing that you see is darkness. So I've tried shooting when I'm sad, when I'm all that, but when I shoot, I end up shooting nothing. I just raise my camera and shoot. And although I captured something, I captured a blank emotion. There's nothing. You just watch and you don't see anything. But when I'm at peace with myself and when I accept myself for who I am, and I do things not because I have to do them, but because of this is what I am meant to, like this is who I am. I am able to just flow and do what I do with ease and peace. That's just
It's like your photos are the best version of you. Whenever you're happy, like that's why it shines. When you're shining, your photos show
yeah,
up.
yeah.
Okay,
But
Yeah.
then
awesome.
I think somewhere along the line I would be able to capture something with a sad emotion when I'm sad. But for now I haven't been able to do it.
Yeah,
It's
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so
awesome. Thanks.
Priscilla Mortzi is saying, I love your work and I hope you portray the heart of Africa in every portrait.
Thank you.
It's very lovely.
Very much.
And Eliani also said some things here. Lagos Photo created a project I think that is called House Museums, House Museums, and is asking people to photograph their house and their objects, and will make a big museum with all the photos from everyone. It's a decolonization project, going away from the big museums to everyone's museums. That's very interesting as well, because then you put it back into the community, right, in people's houses and people's environments, and I think that works so much better, actually. So okay, I'm going to just a minute here. So I'm going to introduce Gabriela, and then we were going to listen to some music, and I don't know if it's one that we can sing together, but I would like you to introduce yourself. So, Gabi, please introduce yourself. Not now, wait just a second. And I would like to say a big thank you to everyone that came here, that watched now or later, everyone that participated, giving us comments and love and inspiration as well, and questions to answer. And to Enrique that just came by and decided to be part of this. It's so special to have you here. You know
My
that.
pleasure.
And Gabi, please introduce you and your dad, which is there to do this whole happy and wonderful moment of music for us to end the interview. Okay? Okay, so let's go.
But can you help me, please?
Yes, I do. I can help you, of course.
Because I can't feel I can't feel me with myself in English. I'm
Okay.
not good.
Okay, so say it in Portuguese and I will try to translate it in English if I can.
Thank you. Então, Eu sou Gabriela Pilati, sou cantora e professora de técnica vocal aqui em Minas Gerais.
Peraí, vai com calma aí. Sou cantora não, mulher, peraí, calma. So she's saying that her name is Gabriela Pilati. She's a singer and also a teacher of vocal techniques or something like that. I don't know how you say it. Yeah. Pode continuar.
E eu gosto muito de misturar, acho que até por meu pai ser poeta e músico, então me interessa muito a palavra, tanto a palavra, o som da palavra, como os signos, tantos signos da palavra. Então, eu gosto muito de juntar literatura, música, já está tudo misturado mesmo, né? Mas aí a gente acaba de fazer mais um mix disso aí.
Henrique, se eu esquecer alguma coisa, você me avisa, viu? Você me ajuda.
Okay. I'll help you out.
So she said, yeah, we have two translators here. Come on, it doesn't have to be only me. So she said that she's very inspired by her father. He's a poet, and he's right there at her side, kind of like behind a little bit. His name is Valdemar. And yeah, because he's a poet and he influenced her, when she sings, she likes also to not only the meaning of the word and the word itself, the sound of the word, but also the symbol, like what it represents. Yeah, I think that's what it was, and that she likes literacy and
music and having all those things that are already combined.
And having that conversation of music and literacy.
Bem isso. Me interessa muito a performance litero-musical. Mas é isso. E para hoje, eu escolhi uma música que chama Na Volta que o Mundo Dá. Ela é do Paulo César Pinheiro, um dos mais incríveis compositores nossos aqui, e do Vicente Barreto. E eu escolhi essa música hoje para cantar para dois amores assim, que fazem aniversário hoje. E aí, eu já estava com ela na cabeça, e quando a Jana me falou, eu falei, vamos embora, vamos com ela, porque...
diz o nome da música de novo?
Na Volta que o Mundo Dá.
Okay, so the title of the song, the name of the song is the lap that the world makes around us? Can I translate it into that? How would you translate it?
I think like the
like
the lap that the world goes around it.
You instead of and it's from an amazing composer. And what's the name of a songwriter? What's his name? Gabi, como é o nome do
Paulo César Pinheiro e Vicente Barreto.
Okay, so let's start.
I think you muted her, Jana.
I did, by mistake. Okay, it's back. Sorry.
Um dia eu senti desejo profundo de me aventurar nesse mundo, pra ver onde o mundo vai dar. Saí do meu canto na beira do rio e fui para um convés de um navio, seguindo o rumo do mar. Pisei muito posto de língua estrangeira, amei muita moça solteira, fiz muita cantiga por lá.
Oh, wow.
Varei cordilheira, geleira e deserto, o mundo pra mim ficou perto e a terra parou de rodar. O tempo foi dando uma coisa em meu peito, um aperto difícil da gente explicar. Saudade, não sei porquê, tristeza, não sei nem porquê, vontade até sem ter de chorar. Angústia de não se entender, um tédio que a gente nem crê, vontade até sem se esquecer e voltar. Juntei os meus troços num saco de pano, telegrafei pro meu mano, dizendo que ia chegar. Agora aprendi porque o mundo dá volta, quanto mais a gente se solta, mais fica no mesmo lugar.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
Gracias.
Thank you. And we have someone else here that is also going to play for us, right, Tommy?
I didn't know I was here already.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave for Aboya to introduce you. So
Okay.
please, Michael.
Do the honors.
It's called Tomiwa. Tomiwa. Oh, I think he will do it best. You introduce yourself.
Oh,
I want to hear what you have to say. Please,
yeah, well, we can only see you now. So hello.
They put you on the spot. They put you on the spot, Michael.
Yes, please.
Okay. So he's a musician and also a photographer, and he's from Nigeria, but he's based in Ghana here. And yeah, that's the best.
That's the introduction, right? What else do you have to say about yourself, Tommy?
Okay, it's simple. I've already said it all. Like I'm a blend of both Nigeria and Ghana at the moment, and I've lived here for 7 years now, and I've been influenced by both worlds. And basically, my music is African futurism, folk. You know, it's folk music, and I write from the poetic point of view, and I mean, put melodies to poems. And I like to join platforms like this that are thinking towards a futuristic aspect. Like Aboya is a friend of mine, and he's also on that futuristic part of showcasing Africa in a different light, in a diverse light. And I think that is what my music comes into play, where in a world saturated with Afro beats, and we're trying to show a diversity to what Africa is. And that's how I would explain myself.
Okay. Okay, welcome. Thank you for doing this for us.
All right. So this song is titled. I was actually frying and cooking something, so I just had to rush and quickly join this for now. And this song is titled "The Atlas." It's Atlas, and the Atlas. You're familiar with the word Atlas?
Yeah.
The map book, and I wrote the song as a personification. I personified the Atlas, and in a way that people can. It became a person. So this song is like the Atlas is talking. So enjoy.
Okay.
and sail. Wipe them off the dusty cobwebs. Went to the bar, some drinks. Then it said, Lord save Nigeria.
What happened? Sorry, I don't know what happened. Please start again.
Let's go. Maybe a little slower this time. All right. Maybe a little slower this time, so you can hear the words. So it's.
Please. The energy was so good. Do it.
Pick them out of the prison cell. Wipe them off those dusty cobwebs. Went to bar, some drinks. Then it said, Lord save Nigeria. As tears rolled down his face. Look at this place, see what the other martyrs have done. So them the world is now built on science and faith.
Let's see when he comes back. I think it's his connection. Yeah. Maybe if I don't know if no, but it has nothing to do with us. It's with him. Let's see if he will come back. Tommy, come back! Oh, no, that was so good.
It was so good, yeah.
Yeah, come on! Oh my gosh! Let's put some energy into Tommy coming back. Is he saying anything there, Aboya?
Nothing. I'm checking.
Yeah, check on him. Get him back before we end everything. So, Gabi, you have some compliments. Vanessa is saying amazing. And actually, the song that Gabriela was singing has to do with your pursuit in the world, right? Things that you're looking for, and then how you move, and then how you come back to the same place again, and how the world just keeps going. And so it was very interesting to have that. Eliane is also saying, que maravilha, right? Ouvir Gabi Pilates e Valdemar Eusébio. So it's like wonderful to listen to them singing. It was wonderful. Henrique, you want to say something? What do you want to say?
No, I was wondering if I can answer Teresa's question back then. She asked something about if I have a list of questions for starters in regards to interviewing the family.
Teresa Passioni, right?
Yes.
Yes. She asked if you have, just while Tommy comes back, for us to talk a little bit. So if you have a list of questions for starters, and what she means is we were talking about the interviews that Henrique is doing with his family members. So whoever wants to start making interviews, so is there a list of questions for starters?
So Teresa, there is not a particular list of questions, but what I usually do is I try to go chronologically. So whenever I'm interviewing, usually I interview them as a couple, so like the husband and the wife. And so I started asking each of them what are their earliest memories when they were a kid. In the case of my family, they were living abroad. They were living in Italy or Portugal. So I tried to get them to remember what it was like to come to Brazil, like going on a boat, on the ship actually. So like trying to get those earliest memories, what was their first impressions when they got to Brazil, and etc. How they met each other, and then so on and so forth. So like I try to go chronologically, and this is my approach. It's pretty straightforward. So there's no specific list of questions.
Yeah, and for me, for the ones that I did with my grandmother and my grandfather, it was a lot to do with. Okay, so I think Tommy is coming back. Tommy, we were just talking while you were getting back, and just a minute. So for me, it was about asking about their childhood. So that's where I started. I started with their childhood, and then asking about memories, like happy memories, even challenges that they had in life and how did they overcome those challenges, and then going into their adult life and asking different questions that I know that have to do with their particular lives. So it's getting into a chapter of their lives. For my grandfather, for example, he went to the World War II. So I had questions about that, specifically about that to him. And then about marriage as well. And in the end, I kind of made the same questions that I made to you guys about legacy and how do you want to be remembered. And my grandfather said, I don't know how people are going to remember me. That's up to them. That was his answer, actually. And I think it was a nice answer because you can't control how people are going to remember you, right?
True.
And my grandmother said that she wanted to be remembered as a person that loved, that have a lot of love to give, and that loved a lot. And I think that's beautiful. So let's start with love, Tommy. Welcome. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. All right, so I'm not going to sing that song again. I'm just going to drop the lyrics, and it's better as a poem. And I think you would enjoy it better. So I'm going to, since we're talking about love, I'm going to sing a song titled Love Land. And yeah, so this is Love Land. And it's a song I sing to escape. And you saw we had bad network recent, not so long ago. And we just had bad network. And I'm like, I just need to escape from all of this. So like, this is a song I sing to escape. All right. Take me to Love Land, no one's gonna find me. Where we're living is so good, spit on kid. Nowhere's too far, and they don't trust me. Where we're living is so smelly, spit on kid. It's like she has flowers in her head, you got flowers in your mouth, cause the water's upside down. And you get dizzy because of her charisma. She loves you like a twister. You've been swept away. You've been swept away. Like we were so in love. 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 So in love.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, beautiful. I agree with Vanessa. Vanessa just said here, Tommy has a truly unique voice and a good way of storytelling as well.
That's you. Thank you so much.
I agree.
Bless you and thank you.
I'm sorry?
I said bless you and thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Gabi, Tommy, Ihiki, thank you for participating. Thank you for your voice, your poetry, your love, your effort, and your presence, especially. It means the world to me to have you guys here. And Michael, I couldn't be more happy right now with this interview and everything that I learned from you today, and everything that that touched me, let's say, because you made me think about the world in a different way and to consider things in a different way as well, and especially with my photography. So thank you so much, and for everyone that stayed until the last minute. Thank you so much. Do you want to say anything? Do you want to say bye?
Thank you all for joining us, and it makes me happy to share my story and inspire others, and also make everyone know that they have the power to free themselves. And yeah, it's happy to be here with you guys, and although we are far away from each other, we are connected by one. And thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I don't want to say goodbye, but I have to.
Thank you, Michael. It's been a pleasure.
You can find the first song on Spotify called The Atlas, Tomiwa, and
okay.
So you can find that on Spotify and enjoy that for the evening.
The Atlas, Tomiwa.
The Atlas. Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, there it is. There it is. The last one, the last comment. Go here to listen to Tommy. I'm going. Okay, everyone. Bye-bye. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you, Jana. Thank you, Michael.
Beijo.
Bye-bye.
Bye.